Hi everyone, it's me. This was a short announcement actually. I wasn't really planning for this to happen, but it just I saw that NASA was doing an event happening, and basically I thought to myself, why not, do a watch party announcement of what they're gonna say. Now, I learned a couple of things from the last announcement that they did with NASA Artemis with Artemis 3 announcement in that I would have to be careful on the volume about the usage of music and things like that. So I've learned a couple of things from it, and hopefully that I'll be able to do better with this. Don't get me wrong. I'm still learning as I go, and this is all new to me still, you know of it. Will I get better of it? Yeah, if I continue, doing this and so forth. This is like more like a side thing, but yeah, yeah. But anyways, hi everyone, welcome to my channel, and I am Brightstar Engines of Progress or Brightstar EOP to make it short. Basically, it's a channel that is covering of my journey into going to engineering adjacent work for aerospace and defense work, along with learning new things about engineering, along with also at the same time, I'm learning about aircrafts, spacecraft, rockets, machineries that empower us to basically improve and go faster and be able to go to many different places that we have never thought it was possible for us as humanities to be able to go for like around more than 100 years ago, and more than 100 or around about 150 years ago, something like that, where humanity, for the most part, the fastest vehicles we have had, well, we technically had on the planet around, let's say, the 1800s, and so was really on sea, it was ships. On land, it was horses. That was considered like the fastest thing on Earth as far as our mobility. Until then, we started to discover the railways, and then the railways around like 150 or something years ago, around the 1800s, around the mid to late 1800s, the railways started expanding more and more and more. Railways got faster, technology increased, and basically we have gone into uh, different technology has increased to the point where basically we were expanding. And also, this comes into play right now with the 250th anniversary of America's birthday, of the America's foundation in 1776. Uh, the United States has been a country of innovation and progress since then, and it's incredible since the United States itself is such a young country compared to many other countries around the world, that it has accomplished so many things, such as from the railways that started out around the mid 1800s, so till around, let's say, the early 1900s, the early, and I say 1800s, I'm sorry, the 18, if I'm getting it right, and in the 1900s, the earlier 20th century, we have had basically the Wright brothers on the first flight in 1903, in December of 1903. So we had the first mechanized human flight in history in 1903 in the early 1900s. And that is such a short amount of span of time in human history we've ever had that. Now, going forward, going forward from that, as technology has advanced into the 1960s, we we as humanity have also embarked not just from the within the Earth itself, but we also embarked onto the cosmos. And since the late 1950s, early 1960s, we started to expand outwards into the cosmos, into the ocean of space itself. So it's incredible how we as humanity is able to increasingly progress a lot and so forth as we build faster and faster and faster and faster vehicles until, and we're still doing it to this day. It's such an incredible feat as far as human history goes, and eventually we have landed on the moon. As humanity has landed on the moon in 1969 in the late 60s, around like the mid 20th century. So this is just incredible how humanity has expanded so much in such a short amount of time within the Earth's our history. We have expanded so much in such a short amount of time in history that is incredible to this day. So this channel for me, it's more like a celebration. It's of course it's my journey. Obviously, I'm still going on this journey of engineering and my life and so forth, going for my engineering careers and so forth. But also it's a journey. Also, it's also in a celebration of sorts of these awesome machineries, these aircrafts, these rockets, these spacecraft, these railway systems, et cetera, and be cars as well that has transformed our lives forever, that has changed our lives forever, and in just in different ways and everything like that. So that's what this channel is about. Um, right now, I'm still waiting for the NASA broadcast. Right now, they're still it's in 4 minutes right now, so still waiting for it right now. I'll probably put it on the share screen, so I'll put it up right now. Uh, so I guess there we go. Oh, sorry, my bad. Yeah. Yeah. So let's see. Okay, cool. There we go. Much better. Okay. Yeah. So we have right now is that's yeah. So right there, a NASA channel right there, and I am looking forward to whatever this is going to be. I'll probably maybe stop sharing it for a little bit. Hold on. Let me test this out a little bit here. Uh, let's see. Window entire screen. No. Just- Okay. All right. We can do this. All right. Cool. All right. Yeah. So there we go. And as far as faster vehicles go, actually, there's been an announcement coming up, right? Been an announcement right here that as of today, as of like an hour ago, our the FAA actually actually endorsed with our current transportation secretary Sean Duffy has announced for supersonic travel, which is amazing because this has been something in the works for ages. We needed something like this. Uh, we did. About time. We need faster planes. We have always needed that for ages since the Concorde ended. Of course, the Concorde was an amazing aircraft itself. I mean, I have a model right here. It's not the cleanest model, but short model right here. See, it's the Concorde itself. It's not that clean. It's kind of dusty a little bit here. I don't think you can see it here, but this was the Concorde. This was considered one of the fastest vehicles on the planet. I'll share a little bit more after the stream, a little bit of the announcement from Sean, from the Transportation Secretary from the FAA and the U.S. Department of Transportation. I put up the official press releases of them. I'll probably put up for the press release for the FAA as well. So we'll see about that. So I'm gonna make this as a double announcement for it because why not? It's actually pretty cool that they're doing this. I think to myself that this was vastly needed. It was about time. We need faster aircrafts. We have currently the airlines that we fly today, the airplanes we fly today are not really like the fastest. They still take time to get to the destinations, and we needed faster aircraft since then. We as humanity has advanced so much that it's just basically, yeah. So right now they're waiting for NASA. So let me see if I can stop sharing screen for a little bit. Let me see if I can pull up. Oh, there. Oh, sorry. Yeah, there we go. Much better. So yeah, so this is like a all right. I think they now started the stream right now. So yeah, okay, there we go. I'm gonna play around with the settings a little bit here. Oh, sorry. Yeah, there we go. I'm gonna play around with the settings a little bit, and then when I see something, I'll just go back to the screen. So that way they're playing music right now. But right now, this stream is about the moon base. All right.
Good afternoon. I'm NASA Senior Advisor and Press Secretary Bethany Stevens. Thank you for joining us from NASA HQ for our second monthly Moonbase update. There will be many updates to come, from the latest awards, behind the scenes footage as hardware is assembled, science and tech payload integration, interviews with subject matter experts, and even launches and landings live on the moon. So stay tuned. These announcements will take place in varying forms, videos, press conferences, and more. So come along with us for the journey. Today, we will discuss the latest progress toward establishing America's and humanity's first outpost on the lunar surface. I'm joined today by NASA Administrator Jared Isaacman and Moonbase Program Manager Carlos Galan Garcia. Garcia Galan, I'm sorry.
There we go.
Thanks to both of you for being here today.
There
I know
is
there's
the
been
main
some exciting
man, Jared
progress since we
Eisenman,
last spoke about
my
Moonbase in
boy.
May.
There we go.
We'll start there, jump into announcements, and then transition to answering questions from the media. With that, let's get started. Jared, the past 3 months since the ignition event have been an exciting period for NASA, with the agency's focus now on building a permanent
Trying to do
outpost
some
on the lunar
technical
surface
difficulties,
near the South
so
Pole.
we'll see.
What are some of the highlights?
Well, we've certainly been very busy. I mean, if you recall, ignition was just before the Artemis 2 mission launch. So let's start there. I don't think any of us are quite over what an extraordinary mission that was. So we launched Artemis 2 April 1st, sent them around the moon, and brought them back safely to Earth. Got a lot of great data, some great lunar science out of it. And it wasn't just weeks after we brought them back and had their kind of splashdown event at Johnson Space Center that we brought everybody back and announced the Artemis 3 crew. And we're not slowing down there. We've already given the go for stacking, so we're getting ready for getting ready to start assembling the Artemis 3 hardware with the goal of getting it outside and getting into wet dress before the end of the year. And we're making progress on Artemis 4 hardware as well. I mean, we are parallel tracking to the greatest extent possible, and we have teams that have been going out in the field to meet vendors all across the supply chain and driving outcomes. In fact, just yesterday, I was with Kelly, Administrator Kelly Loeffler from the SBA administration, talking to her about how we are going to partner and take some of the pressure points out of the supply chain, where whether it's valves, hypergol thrusters would be very applicable for the moon base, are slowing down progress, and working with some of the great small businesses from across America to start producing these and be able to provide them some of the capital to get going with that small business administration initiative. So that just some examples there, and that's all kind of the return astronauts to the moon game plan throughout the Artemis program. Then there's the moon base. So we already gave an update, I guess, about a month ago, if it's even that, where we announced some of our first awards along with some of the first rovers that'll be on the lunar surface. So when our astronauts get there, they'll have something to drive around in. And here we are giving Moonbase Update 2, where we're going to have additional awards. And like you said, this is going to be a thing. We are going to come together every month. It won't just be about contract awards of who the next vendors are, but what progress are we making? What behind the scenes footage can we show you of some of the landers being assembled, the rovers being assembled, some of the integration of the scientific or tech demonstration payloads when it's getting out to the pad. And of course, what I know we're all going to be excited for is when we start seeing footage of the launch and landing. So, yeah, we're making a lot of progress. We'll turn over to our moon base guy. What more specifics do you have?
So there's a lot of stuff going on. I'm going to focus on the first 3 missions that are in a pretty advanced state of development. I'll start with Blue Origin. They're developing the Endurance lander. It's the first version of their Mark 1 lander. And I have actually already seen Endurance at the Johnson Space Center when he was doing some of the environmental testing. I have also seen it in Florida, and it looks like it's almost done. As a matter of fact, I think the assembly is pretty much complete. They'll get through a next set of tests, then they'll put the engine, load the cryos, and he's ready to go. Of course, the launch vehicle for that is the New Glenn, which had an anomaly recently. So we're working with Blue Origin very closely to understand their timelines to recovery, and also looking at other options in case it doesn't meet our timeline. So we're paying a lot of attention. Again, putting the entire NASA capability at the service of making this vendor successful. So the second one is Astrobotic Griffin 1 mission. Is being built out in Pittsburgh. And I was also there recently with Bunny Suit et al., looking at all the aspects of that lander, and it's looking great. Also almost ready for complete assembly. What they're going to do now, I think they're almost ready to put it in a box, send it to JPL, where it'll undergo environmental testing, and then it'll get back to Pittsburgh, put the engine on, and then go to KSC, where it will meet very exciting payload, the Flip rover that Astrolab is developing in the LA area. And then that one also will be ready to go, expected to launch this year. And then Intuitive Machines in Houston, Texas, they're building the Nova C lander, another version of their Nova C lander. And that also is looking pretty good. They just finished putting the top deck of it with propellant tanks and all of that stuff. They're also doing engine testing. Actually, when I was there, I got to witness some of that engine testing. Always exciting there. So great progress. Actually, being able to see moon-based elements getting to the finish line is just awesome. So that is what's going on.
So, Carlos, those are the first moon-based missions, but you and Jared have outlined that we can expect to see 20-plus missions in phase 1 of building the moon base, which extends through 2029. Can you quickly recap for everyone what we're hoping to accomplish in phase 1 and then subsequently in phases 2 and 3?
Absolutely. So phase 1 is really 3 main objectives. 1, getting to the moon reliably. That's why we have so many missions, because we want to try with different vendors, different places of the moon, and make sure that most of the missions, all of the missions, have a very high likelihood of success. The second objective is to get ground truth. We know a lot about the moon, some of the South Pole, but nothing like what we need to learn before we send humans there and we actually build a moon base. So putting different assets on the surface, prospecting, understanding the environment, where the places where we want to go, super critical. And the third objective is, we know to build a moon base, we're going to need permanent infrastructure, and we're going to need to support long duration, eventually permanent presence there. So we're going to try out some of these technologies early in phase 1 that will enable us to do that. We want to try things out there, learn from what we observe in the operations, and then modify and upgrade the things that actually will be part of phase 2, which starts around 2029. That's when we'll start putting some of the permanent pieces of the infrastructure, including power, navigation capabilities, of course, finishing out the communication constellations, and also surface preparation. All of that in phase 2. And then that will go through 32, and in 32 plus, we'll add the final elements of the moon base initial capability, which will enable long-term duration missions, including habitation, the logistics, and we'll see some cargo return to Earth.
Is there anything you'd like to add?
No, other than just, I guess, reinforcing the importance of going through these phases. This is drawing on the playbook that worked very well for NASA during the 1960s. We didn't just jump right to Apollo 11, Mercury, Gemini, lots of Apollo missions. We want to get back into a rhythm of this. We want lots of reps. It's incredibly challenging just going to the moon, let alone going to the south pole of the moon and being able to operate in permanently shaded regions. Like, this is extremely difficult. So let's do a lot of littles and let's learn from every one of them. And I'll tell you, as you tune in and you start watching these the uncrewed landings, starting in 2027, no, every single time, not only is that a useful mission for the long-term goals of building out a moon base itself, it's bringing down risk for when the astronauts arrive. Every landing we're going to have an opportunity to learn from. So I think it's exciting. I think it gives people a lot of opportunity to tune in, see the progress that we are making. There will be scientific breakthroughs from every one of them. There will be tech demonstrations, but we're learning and building up to doing something extremely hard. Which is being able to operate astronaut crews on a near continuous basis on the lunar surface. And this is drawing on the playbook of success from the 1960s. We're bringing it back. This is how you do the near impossible. Just eager to see the first mission get underway.
So now that we've recapped all of that, let's shift to our 4 new vendor contracts being awarded to industry providers today. Jared, do you want to go ahead and share who's going to be delivering NASA science payloads and tech demos?
Sure. So I will give you the 4. So we've got 4 landers, 3 vendors. The first one, 2 awards are going to Astrobotic. The second, we have an award going to Firefly Aerospace. Which is their Blue Ghost lander. And then third, we have Intuitive Machines, which is based on their Nova C lander. And I will turn it over to our Moonbase guy to give you the specifics.
All right. So congratulations to Astrobotic, Firefly, Intuitive Machines. It's been awesome to see them grow, just like other parts of the industry that we're going to need for the moon base. With Astrobotic, the administrator said, it's another version of their Peregrine lander. They're getting 2 awards, and we have been ensuring that they have the production capacity for that, as long at the same time as they're finishing their Griffith 1 lander. So they're applying a lot of the lessons learned from the previous Peregrine build out. And we expect to see a spacecraft that has those additional capabilities. Then Firefly, of course, we were all captivated by the footage of the Blue Ghost approaching the moon and landing to the moon. That was an epic mission. We got a ton of data from that, so we are thrilled to see them develop another instance of that Blue Ghost lander and see it carry some of our payloads to the moon. And then, of course, Intuitive Machines. I have seen already 1 version of the Nova C. Very excited to get another one. Again, we will apply all the lessons learned. As a matter of fact, they're doing quite a bit of work in the instruments for descent and guidance and navigation. They're going to apply all of the stuff they learn from the testing they do on Earth, as well as the next mission into this instance. And very excited that we're going to get a bunch of new payload capacity to the surface.
Speaking of payload capacity, what do you think the chances are here, if America wins it all, that we can find some volume here on one of these landers to put one of the soccer balls in?
If the United States wins the World Cup, we will absolutely find space.
You're going to find a way.
Of course, they will have to beat Spain in the quarterfinals, which is predictable, but we will see what happens. But absolutely, we will absolutely.
Right, so a little bit of motivation for the United States here on this one. We're going to one up Alan Shepard in the golf game on the lunar surface, and we are going to get the soccer ball there. Well, I don't know which lander it'll wind up going, and I'll leave that to you guys to handle the payload.
We will take on that challenge. It will be super exciting to do that if they win. Good luck.
Carlos, you've been deeply involved in shaping the near-term roadmap for our Moonbase construction zone. What's on the horizon for the Moonbase program?
So, great question. So, besides getting new awards for the landers, we're working across NASA. This is a one NASA effort. We're working with our science partners on making sure that we understand what the objectives for science are, picking some of the instruments and developing those with them, and also working with the research and technology team They just announced in the press release yesterday they're putting a broad area announcement for some of the early technology that we know we have gaps on. And it's
Yep.
there for
Yep.
folks to
It's space
apply
and mass
and put their
manufacturing right
ideas in
there into
SAM.gov
resource
right now.
utilization, surplus
Those
power.
again will be early
Yep. Yep.
technology
Very
or early
important
technology
stuff.
development
Gotta
projects that
you gotta
all
build
feed
for the
into
moon
potential
base and
flight
going to
projects
Mars.
for things that we do in phase 1 and phase 2 in the future. So that's number one. We're then, of course, going into some of the moon-based core activities. We announced Clips 2.0. That's another version of landers and also other options that we have to be able to procure not just as commercial service, but only specifically landers. We want to get into the business where we have launch vehicles, different kinds of landers, and we're developing payloads for them. And we will be assembling these missions depending on what's ready. Those awards, the due date for that was actually today, and we'll be making those awards in early September or so. Then
That's awesome. That's pretty
when we
awesome
talk
though. They're
about
moving
the
really
things that we
fast.
have in procurement, definitely launch vehicles for the landers themselves, and in phase 1, technology demonstrations. So we're going to open up a new solicitation avenue for those technology demonstrations. And we're going to start focusing on surface power, but there's more. There's early habitation, there's surface mobility.
So there's your
So,
dates right there
in a
for
month or
your
two, we're going to put that
for the
broad area
industry, July
announcement, core for
industry.
Moonbase, out.
I'm gonna
And we'll be
see
soliciting for
whether if I
ideas and
can
proposals
attend
on,
that or
again,
not.
start with surface
Depends
power
on
right
when it
away in
goes.
July, and then expanding that to other areas. And then, because we're procuring those technology demonstration payloads, we need more landers. So we already have booked the ones that are the 3 ones that I talked about at the beginning. We just awarded 4 today. We can't wait to put
Oh,
great payloads on those and also learn things about getting back to the moon, core objective for phase 1. But then we're going to get in the business of deploying these technology demonstration payloads. Maybe a solar tower, maybe an inflatable habitation, things like that we get through the broad area announcement. So more landers in the horizon for power, avionics, and habitation. So anyway, that kind of wraps up what's in the core. But
there's
I
always
think you might
something.
have a little bit more about what's next.
Well, when I was saying early on that we are going to launch, we are going to have so many landers, we're going to have so many rovers, we're going to be on the moon that you could go and raid the pantry at every one of our centers for payloads, and there would still be a lot of excess mass and volume available in that. Well, we started to do just that. And it turns out we do have a lot of flight hardware that's around our various centers. So a little bit of a Star Wars reference here. I think those that know
Yes.
our Mars rovers, Curiosity and Perseverance. Well, there is another. And the engineering development unit for it is called Promise. And I'd say we are thinking very hard right now about sending Promise to the moon.
that would
Okay, with
be
new
an
rover
awesome
now. That's great.
capability. First of all, core moon-based objectives. Having a nuclear RTG on it, it allows us to go anywhere we want, regardless of the illumination. Surviving the lunar night is going to be one of the bigger challenges. With this capability, we wouldn't have to worry about that. So long traverses, getting into those very hard to reach areas, just like Curiosity and Perseverance have shown us on the surface of Mars. That would be awesome. But then we have payload capacity, significant on this thing. So we're going to work with our partners in the Science Mission Directorate to find the best payloads we can have, put them on this rover, and get groundbreaking science out of it. So we're very excited about this possibility, which we're still studying. But anyway, we are in the business of the near impossible. So why not?
I'm optimistic.
Well, there's no shortage of great things to talk about. And for everyone watching today, all of this information can be found by visiting our Moonbase website at www.nasa.gov/moonbase.
There you go. That's
We
the
have
website.
about 15 minutes for media Q&A, so we will go ahead and open that up and get started with Eric Berger from Ars Technica.
All right, what does Eric
Eric
Berger have to say
said,
now?
Carlos mentioned other options for Endurance's LV if it doesn't meet our timeline. What's NASA's timeline for the launch?
I will start with what we're doing in Moonbase specifically, and I'll let the administrator address the broader question. So when we're looking at options, first of all, for Moonbase, having multiple lander opportunities for the payloads is critical, because we got to keep learning no matter what anomalies we have or bumps in the road. We've been focused on helping Blue Origin with the determination of the root cause. We will help with building the infrastructure, but then we're also looking at options like, can we fly Mark 1 lander, which it's intact and was not associated with the anomaly. Can we fly that in a different rocket? Or then we will look at other options for the payloads and looking at, depending on the timeline of the rocket getting back.
Yeah, and I think just to layer on to this, some time has gone by since the anomaly right now, and Blue Origin's response to the situation is almost beyond impressive. And that's not just a NASA assessment. I mean, you've had, representatives from the DOW Space Force that's out there, and seeing the amount of resources they've been able to kind of, muster to the problem, how quickly they've already started cleaning things up, how, the progress they are making on the investigation. And I think the CEO, Dave Limp, is doing a fantastic job putting updates out there. Today, they just revealed, their kind of new hybrid assembly complex concepts of operation that they're using for 9x4 or New Glenn 9x4. So they're making great progress. So Plan A is very much still to launch the Mark 1s on New Glenn, and we have time. They are very committed to getting back in the business of launching New Glenn before the end of the year. We've got time beyond that point into 2027 before we're getting nervous. Now, of course, in the spirit beyond just the Blue Origin anomaly of this, if that NASA does not sit in our hands and wait for hardware to show up, that we are going out and driving outcomes, and we are doing that across the entire Artemis initiative. In fact, every one of the ignition initiatives, we are deploying NASA subject matter experts to drive outcomes. It would be almost irresponsible with the importance of the moon base, how the moon base even sets up for our Artemis astronauts to return to the surface, not to have Plan Bs. But I would say Plan A was always New Glenn, and Plan A is looking a lot better today than it was weeks ago, just based on the progress that the Blue Origin team is making.
Jeff Faust of Space News says, what is the value of the Lunar Lander Awards made today?
So phase 1, getting reliably to the surface, this is core part of that. We need to test many times in different places to be able to say that we've got that down, because we're going to be putting very high value assets on those landers. So getting the count up and learning every time we put a lander down is very important.
Was he talking dollar value?
I was going to say, I think it's monetary value.
Okay. So I got that here. So for example, one award is around $144 million. So we're giving that to Firefly and Intuitive Machines.
Yeah,
it's in the order of 200 and something, 80 something
Go Firefly.
$million for the Astrobotic.
Go Firefly.
landers.
Go Intuitive Machines. Go Astrobotic.
And we will have a news release posted shortly with all of the details on our NASA website as well. Marcia Smith of Space Policy Online asked, what exactly is NASA doing to ensure Astrobotic has the production capacity for 2 landers? Are both launching in 2027?
Yeah, so we have been having those discussions. Specifically, we've inspected their facilities. It was amazing to see that after the demand signal we put out on Ignition Day, many vendors, including Astrobotic, immediately turned into action, started evaluating their production capacity. They do have the production capacity to complete Griffin 1 and go into the production of 2 landers. As a matter of fact, more than that. And they're actively working on expanding even beyond that for the next set of landers that are coming up, which we talked about today for technology demonstration payloads. And they're not the only ones. I think every one of the vendors we announced today and everybody else that it's in the CLIPS 1.0 pool is building up that capability. So we feel pretty confident on the awards today and the ones that are coming up.
And just again, go back into we're not just sitting around saying we hope it shows up on time, not with any of our vendors. I mean, the whole deploying subject matter experts in the field to drive outcomes, it gives us insight into where there are problems. Hey, the vendor we selected doing a fantastic job. However, their subcontractor for, I don't know, this is a hypothetical, COPVs or hypergol thrusters has a backlog here. What can NASA do about it? Well, this is again why the SBA and NASA partnered and made that announcement yesterday. Is we are going out and funding where we know there are challenges in the supply chain. We are bringing online some of our test capabilities. After the shuttle era was retired, a lot of our hypergol test, capabilities were diminished. Even now, so now as you put this huge demand signal out to industry and everybody is spooling up, there could be a very long line in getting some of their hardware through our test chambers. So we are making investments to bring online test chambers that have been decommissioned for 10 or 15 years to alleviate some of the pressure in the system right now. So again, it is not all on the vendors, and it shouldn't be. It wasn't like that in the 1960s. It won't be like that now. NASA will play a part in ensuring the partners that we are selecting throughout the Moon Base Initiative, all of the ignition initiatives, including Artemis, 4, 5, and beyond, are being driven towards the outcomes people expect.
Anthony Leone of Spectrum News asks, for the Moon Base 2 mission, just how instrumental will the Flex rover be, not just for that mission, but for the future ones as well?
So the Flex rover from Astrolab actually has components that they plan to use on the lunar terrain vehicle that we awarded earlier in the year. So from an engineering perspective, we're going to test out quite a bit of things on that rover that play forward into other assets that we already have in the works. Also, we're going to put instruments there, and just like Flip, many other ones will be the same way. We're going to put standard instruments that will give us basic information about the surface, the terrain, the environment, the temperature, the illumination that we're getting there, which is all part of the getting the ground truth objective number 2 of phase 1. So very valuable. And in that version of a rover, smaller ones, bigger ones that will come later, we're going to be getting tons of data from the South Pole, which again we know very little about right now.
Yep.
Christopher Mick from the Hudson Star Observer asks, with the ever increasing cadence of robotic lander missions called for in the moon base phases, what are the plans for landing plume mitigation that could damage pre-placed assets?
Good question. In the first set of landers, like the ones we announced today, we're actually going to have stereo cameras that will be looking at that plume surface interaction for us to better understand what's happening when different types of engines, because there's a different set of landers, what is happening, and can we characterize and model that very accurately. And then in the future, part of the technology demonstration initiatives have to do with surface preparation. So today, if we did nothing, we think we would have to put the landing sites like 1.5 miles away from anything meaningful that you don't want impacted. But we don't want to just settle on that. I mean, we may start there. We envision potentially building berms that can surround these areas, also nuclear reactor to protect the crews and the equipment from radiation. But all of this is just a vision. We got to try that out. That's why early on, we'll be putting rovers and potentially lunar terrain vehicles that will help us try out surface preparation stuff, even if it's just moving some rocks or trying to build a mini berm. All of that plays forward into really building the assets that in phase 2 will help do the job.
Yeah, and I want to just pile on that a little bit too. First of all, I was out at Langley just a week or two ago, where we're doing a lot of the plume surface interaction testing already. And you have a crack team that's doing a lot of work on this. But what it's going to tell you is that there will be problems if you don't get to a point where you can do true surface improvement operations on the lunar surface as well. So this is why, again, going back to a phase 1 moon base, phase 2, 3, getting back in a rhythm of learning, using what you learn to inform a subsequent mission is the right approach for NASA. If we had just done a single lunar terrain vehicle, we might have overlooked capabilities that are going to need it for some of the surface improvement operations. So we have a phase 1 of LTV. We'll learn a lot of just driving things around autonomously and crewed on the lunar surface, but then we'll launch phase 2 LTVs. And for sure, you're going to incorporate at some point into this surface improvement capabilities. And from my perspective, the earlier that you can in the process will only make life easier on the robotic landers, the crewed landers, logistics and supply.
There we go.
I think it's going to be an important part of moon base operations.
Paul Brinkman of Aerospace America says, is there any hardware built for a Promise rover, and what would that be? Was that just a potential name for a future mission?
Oh no, there is another. It exists. In fact, I think you showed the video of it. It's real.
Is that a promise?
I think that the farthest I can go is we're thinking about it, but I promise you we're thinking about it, and we're gonna. And I think we've got the hardware, and this is exactly what we should be trying to do to put wins on the board. Getting a capability like Promise to the surface of the moon. I think we'll probably make some adjustments to some of the instruments that are on it. Is going to bring an immense capability to the lunar South Pole in short order. But it very much exists. That there is another reference was real.
We have been witness to it. Tried to drive it ourselves, but the experts took it over. But yeah, it's there, and it's been tested extensively in the JPL Mars rock yard.
Fox News' Jonathan Seri asks, Carlos, could you elaborate on what remains unknown about the conditions at the lunar South Pole?
A lot. For example, we have a definition up to like a meter of height of the lunar surface. We would like to have definition centimeters of height and even subterranean, just to see what kind of surface strength we have and what's there that we may be able to explore and use in situ on the surface of the moon. Then we know that in the South Pole, the illumination conditions are complex because the sun really only rises 1-2 degrees. So one of the ways that we think we can mitigate that is building solar masts, but we don't know at what height it's truly effective. Is it 1 meter? Is it 2 meter? Is what? We need to put stuff there and try that out. And then
Very true
the
about
reason
that.
why surviving the lunar night it's hard is because it gets really cold. You go from being super hot, maybe 200, 250 degrees to minus 200 once the shade hits you. And then if you go into some of these permanent shadow regions, it can be like minus 400. That's for a system, any kind, electronics, structure, anything to survive that is pretty staggering. But that's what we think it is. We need to put stuff there, and really maybe the temperature is not that cold because there's some albedo or something that reflects on it. So all of those things, we really want to try it out. Then in Artemis 2, the crew reported flashes of micrometeorites hitting the surface.
Yep.
We want to put stuff
Going
there
back
and
to
see
Artemis
if
2.
that's really a problem or it's not.
I should have live streamed that event actually.
How do we
when
drive
it happened,
on the surface of Mars?
Oh,
How
well.
easy is to move a rock or to clear terrain or to build a berm? We have ideas. We've tried out on Earth. We're doing everything we can here to try it out. But as we know, once you get space, especially the moon, and especially in the South Pole, it's a different ballgame. So that's why our studies are really putting stuff on the surface and trying stuff out as soon as we can.
Irene Klotz of Aviation Week asks, what is the driving decision about whether to fly Mars rover engineering unit to the moon? When would that happen? How does that compare with the commercial landers already in development?
Well, I think it would hitch a ride with a commercial lander, to be clear. But I think the idea is that we have hardware now that was designed for an incredibly harsh environment. Equally so on the South Pole of the moon, that we can get there and continue the learning. That is an extremely capable vehicle. So there's very little that would, I think, hold us back from making use of that hardware at this point. So, and there's others too. If we talked about, we've got flight hardware that would have gone to the International Space Station down to Kennedy Space Center that's no longer required or suitable as a module on the International Space Station that we might use just to start learning, just put it on the lunar surface, maybe with some soft goods and something inflatable to start learning. Maybe step one to gathering additional data for what the right habitability module should look like on the surface. So continue to expect this. The taxpayer is invested in capabilities, and if it's living in a like I said, a pantry or warehouse at one of the NASA centers and doesn't have an immediate mission need outside of the moon base, we're probably going to find a way to either put it on the moon or use it elsewhere and start gathering data.
Will Robinson Smith of Spaceflight Now says, does NASA intend to procure landing services using Intuitive Machines' Nova D lander? If so, why not for this 2028 mission?
Sure, we are excited about the development of the Nova D, just like other vendors are developing a scaled up version of their landers. Uh, we may be procuring that. I mean, we just announced that the Clips 2.0 window is closing today, so it could be a Clips 2.0 award in the future. So yeah, if we're gonna use all the capability, there's some low class like 150, 200 kilograms landers today. There's also 500 kilogram. There's 2 or 3 metric tons, and we want to go up to like 15 metric tons. So this is going to be an evolution of the landing capability that we have up to when we get to the human class cargo landers, which could be up to Starship around the 100 metric ton capability. Yeah, we plan to use whatever is available, and we have the contract mechanisms for it.
And we're on Moonbase Update 2 right now, so there's going to be a lot of Moonbase updates. We're doing this monthly going forward. You have a national space policy that calls for building a moon base. The president of the United States wants to see a moon base. You have bipartisan support from Congress to build a moon base. We're going to be sending crew and payload to the moon for a very, very long time. So if you're in the business of making hardware and you're continuing to think about how to improve that hardware, which you should do when you have a demand signal that goes from infrequent bespoke landers to let's do this all the time, you're probably making worthwhile investments at this point. So there's going to be a lot more moon updates going forward.
Manuel Mazzanti has asked, Moonbase 1 after the New Glenn incident, has NASA been in talks with Blue Origin to use another vehicle to launch MK1, or are we okay to wait to the end of the year?
So as the minister said earlier, Plan A is still very much to be able to fly Mark 1 on the New Glenn, and we're monitoring the timeline and the progress there. We don't really, it would not be an impact to the Moonbase development if we even went into 2027, maybe the middle of 2027 for that. So after that, as we see the progress, like we stated before, we'll be evaluating options, including the possibility that we can launch a different launch vehicle. But as the minister said, we're sticking to Plan A for now.
David Curley of Full Throttle said, Isaacman high praise for Blue and LEMP. Is your confidence based on data about the anomaly as well as the behavior of Blue?
Yes to both. I mean, I get daily updates. I mean, NASA has teams that are involved in, Blue, we offered. I mean, the next morning, Blue Origin, accepted, where we've embedded personnel into the pad recovery effort, of course, as part of the anomaly investigation. I mean, not just the moon base, but Blue Origin is a critical player for the Artemis 3 mission, and certainly potential for crewed landings to the moon thereafter. So we are informed. It is based on data. It should very much be Plan A. That we provide all the support we can to get them, going again to support Moonbase and the Artemis missions. As we said, we can afford plenty. If they're committed to getting back before the end of the year, great. It would be an amazing accomplishment if they did. They can go beyond that. And NASA is still fine up until a point. If we start tracking towards, mid 2027, that now has implications for the Artemis 3 mission and for uncrewed landers, and that would be more concerning, which is why it's our responsibility, as I said before, across the supply chain, across every vendor contributing to all the ignition priorities, to have the ability for NASA to drive outcomes. But I think based on the progress that we've been seeing so far and the great communication from Dave Limp on this one, we don't have any reason to believe that we would have to select an alternative pathway yet.
Andrew Leinfelder of the Houston Chronicle asks, how is Promise different from Viper?
Good question. So
good question
Viper
about that. Yeah.
is there to look for volatiles. I mean, that core science objectives of getting to the South Pole of the moon, looking for those volatiles that potentially have been there thousands of years. We want to get to them. But Viper uses solar power. So we're constrained to the terrain that we put it on, how much illumination that's going to get, the time of year, where it can go. I mean, it could certainly not potentially go into some of this permanently shadowed regions and stay deep in there. And then it will have, based on the lunar nights, it will have a lifespan that's limited by it. Of course, we will try. We work with our science community partners and the Science Mission Directorate to select similar payloads, because with Promise, we would not be constrained by solar power. For example, Curiosity and Perseverance have been on Mars for years, I think 15 and 6 years or something like that. So if we have a capability like that, we could choose to really embark in long traverses and hit several of these areas where there's permanently shattered areas. And who knows what other payloads we can put in there depending on the payload capacity.
Yeah, I think that's, to be very clear, these are two very different category of vehicles right now. And one being nuclear powered, it has an RTG on it. This is how it survives for an extremely long time in a very challenging environment on the surface of Mars, equally so on the south pole of the moon. So it gives us a lot of options to be working in those permanently shaded regions a lot longer than Viper would survive. So great capability, something that taxpayers already invested into. And we outfit it a little bit differently, put some different instruments on it, and it's going to be a highly capable vehicle for the South Pole Moon, and we can get it there fast versus any kind of new project. So something we're pretty excited about, Promise.
And we have time for just a few more questions. Ryan Caton of NASAspaceflight.com asked, why is there only one EVA suit provider when there are two lander providers? Is NASA actively seeking another suit provider?
So there was two providers, and one of them dropped out rather recently, and it's a vendor that we count on for other components to support the Artemis program, even beyond the suits, and we're trying to play an active role in that. I think at this point, as I stated publicly, we are going to put all of our resources into driving outcomes. We're doing it with our landers, we're doing it on the Ignition Initiative, and we're doing it on the suit. And we've had a lot of people, since my meeting with Axiom earlier this year, embedded into their operation. I've seen the suits in testing. I've seen NASA astronauts in suits. Doing simulations that would be and gathering data that would be applicable for lunar operations. So we did have two. One dropped out. We've made our bet on this. We're putting all our resources in to try and drive to a successful outcome. If there is any indication that timelines will not be met, we are not giving up our timeline to return astronauts to the lunar surface because we don't have a suit ready. So as long as everything's tracking, we're going to continue to be very supportive partners in this. If anything goes off course from that, well, then similar to, as by policy and applicable to any of our ignition initiatives, we'll step in and ensure that we're able to meet our timelines.
Marcia Dunn of the AP asks, as NASA moves from flags and footprints exploration toward a sustained moon base, what specific human systems lessons, such as crew autonomy, habitability, governance, or psychological resilience, do you think must be proven on the moon before NASA can responsibly send crews to Mars?
Well, look, we've been learning an awful lot on the International Space Station in microgravity on how to keep human beings alive. Like just human physiology and psychology are both very applicable on deep space missions. Now, what'll be interesting to see is how that changes in 1/6 gravity. Is that take as much of a toll on the human body, as it does spending 9 months or a year, in microgravity on the International Space Station. But this is why it's the next logical progression. There is much still to learn before we send humans 9 months away or so from Earth on potentially like a 2-year type mission to Mars. So we've done an awful lot at the International Space Station. We will continue to do so. It is still a great area for research and a proving ground, just as we're going to take some of the Axiom suits up to the ISS in either late 27 or early 28, ideally late 27, before we take them to the surface of the moon. We still can do a lot on the ISS, but we will do an awful lot at our moon base. When you're 4 days away from coming home, if something is problematic, instead of what potentially could be more than a year. So this is the next logical step on the journey, where we should be very grateful we have a moon in such proximity to work with.
And before we get to our next couple of questions, I do want to acknowledge this special visitor that came to us here at NASA HQ, soon to be on the moon.
That's it. That's the challenge. Okay, so Team USA, get the job done, and we've already sent it to the International Space Station. The next one is you have to find a way to get this on a lander.
All right. Pretty light. I think we can work with the volume. So it's all on the U.S. men's national team. So good luck. Let's go.
There we go.
Joey
Go
Roulette from
USA.
Reuters asks, what is the Promised Lander? Which NASA center does it come from? And why haven't we heard about it before?
Well, it always, it existed. So, when I was making my way around to all the centers, and we went to, it's Jet Propulsion Laboratory. It's JPL who takes care of Perseverance and Curiosity. And I was like, okay, so this is one for one, of the actual, the flight hardware that's on Mars right now. And makes sense very early on, right? If you're, you've got some sort of just like we have hardware in the loop tables here, or Iron Birds you may have heard of. We got a problem, we might want to test it out on that before we upload it to, a vehicle that's actually in space or on the surface of Mars. But we've had years now of experience operating the 2 rovers on the surface of Mars, and we've got this hardware that the taxpayers have invested a lot in. So the question was posed, what if we send it to the moon? And JPL is great about these good ideas. So no surprise. I mean, they've got Moonfall, they've got Skyfall. They obviously make great videos. So for Promise, but it's existed. You just didn't know its name. And you may not have seen it very often if you weren't at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, but it's probably going to find its way to the lunar South Pole.
And last question here. Ken Chang with the New York Times said, I believe Jared said the robotic landings would begin in 2027. Are Moonbase 1, 2, and 3 now all delayed to 2027?
No, we expect to have at least one mission in 26 with Astrobotic. But, things happen, and we'll keep monitoring. I described the hardware earlier. It's looking great. The landers are looking great. So we have some confidence that we're going to make it in 26. And if not, it will be very early in 27.
Well, it sounds like there's a lot to look forward to and a lot to be excited about. Before we close this up, I want to ask if either of y'all have any closing thoughts that you want to share with our audience today.
I guess I'll start with, I mentioned all the great hardware that is being developed. Every NASA center, it's invested in this, from science to technology to facilities that we're now consolidating and investing on to be able to meet the demand and help the whole enterprise of getting to the moon base, and industry. And in the future, who knows, we may be adding contributions for international partners. I feel like we're in the cusp of doing something great, and we're starting to see some progress on it. So super excited about it.
Yeah, what a time, right? I mean, there's just so many reasons to be excited and enthusiastic around here. My appreciation, the entire NASA workforce has responded so well coming from the Ignition event. Everybody's working incredibly hard to kind of, again, to deliver the outcomes that we're all eager to see right now. I mean, you launched a flawless Artemis 2 mission. You announced Artemis 3. We're go for stacking. We're pulling in Artemis 4 hardware. We're looking for opportunities to pull in Artemis 5 hardware. We're moving very quickly on Moonbase. We've got plan A's, plan B's, depending on launch vehicle hardware that's going to be available. We're rebuilding our X-plane portfolio around here, by the way. X-59 is doing great. It's flying a bunch. It's quiet, supersonic profile. We're looking forward to seeing a lot more of it, but we're rebuilding an X-plane portfolio. You're going to see in the days ahead some of NASA's fleet of aircraft, participating in our 250th birthday celebration here over our nation's capital and other locations. So we're taking our fleet out on the road. So you'll see it, especially a lot of the space themed air shows around the country right now. You got Roman that's arrived at Kennedy Space Center. So we're going to see that. We continue to get earlier on our time frame on that. So before the end of August, we should see Roman fly. We've got a rescue mission going up, being launched off of an L-1011 Pegasus out at Kwajalein, which could be tomorrow. So there's just a lot of exciting things going on. Not to mention, we got a crew up on the International Space Station doing just awesome work. So I think your point, the entire agency is coming together. International partners are all making big statements and commitments in support of the moon base right now. It's an exciting time to be at NASA. So I hope everyone's tuning in, paying attention. We'll be back with you in a month, give you the next Moonbase update number 3 as we continue to make progress and just try and change the world in air and space.
So to wrap this up, if you go to nasa.gov/moonbase, you can find
There we
all of
go.
our content there. Obviously, there are plenty of exciting things to tune in and look at. So please stay with us and keep on watching as our content develops. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's see. NASA.gov Moonbase. Here we go. All right, so I guess that's it then. Yeah, I can stop the stream a little bit here. I'll exit here. There we go. Yeah, they already finished. But yeah, I can see is that they're doing a lot of things here. They're doing a lot of amazing stuff here. With the moon base thing and so forth. It's such a great thing happening. I'm happy that Astrobotic, Intuitive Machines, and of course one of my favorites, Firefly Aerospace, won the contracts for the moon landers themselves. Of course, these are part of like the moon landings as far as like starting the moon base process to it. And right now, I'm checking on the Moonbase website itself. I can definitely show the link here. I'll probably show some links here because today's been a very big news in the aerospace world. So not just with the Moonbase announcement because this was out of the blue, but I was gonna do a streaming thing, but since I saw NASA announced the Moonbase update, I was like, okay, might as well just do a YouTube channel for it. YouTube video for it. And that's what I'm doing right now. I know this is coming off a little longer from this thing, but I'll probably try to put like clips here and there, so and so forth. So yeah. So as we can see here, let me see if I can show the screen. They talked about the moon base, so that okay, there we go. We're at the website for the moon base here. So it's pretty cool that they actually are going to do a moon base, and actually they said themselves in the meeting, the Nixon meeting, that we're going to be seeing the moon base live on Earth from Earth on the moon. There's going to be live cameras that's going to be there. So it's going to be amazing because we're going to be broadcasting from around the moon's around like 230,000 something miles away from the Earth. I mean, that is just 200,000. And it's just crazy. It's just crazy. I don't know if I'm getting the numbers right, but yeah, it's crazy. It is a huge distance, but it's going to be incredible how they're going to broadcast it. Now, are they going to do it, with 4K? We don't know. I don't think there's going to be 4K. The amount of distance that's going to be in it needs to require some kind of higher radio frequency, higher radio waves, or some kind of like it needs some kind of like a big instrument systems to be able to relay signals from the moon to the earth. That's why when there's like a huge distance and so forth, there's always a delay. There's always a sort of a delay of it. But yeah, as you can see here, scroll here, there's the three missions right here. This is for like astrobotic right here, intuitive machines right here, and one of my favorites with the Blue Ghost, Firefly Aerospace, which is pretty cool. I actually had a talk with Firefly Aerospace as a recent, so they are very cool company, very awesome company, I'll say. Um, I highly I give them all 3, 4, 5 thumbs up. I don't know what the rating scales at, but thumbs up for all of them. For all of them, they're doing fantastic jobs here. And as you can see, the blueprints for the moon base, they're accelerating right now. They're doing phase 1, and then they're gonna move into phase 2, and then it's gonna be phase 3 and beyond, which is like they'll probably do other phases. But the 3-phase system, I think I like better because that way you grow from there. And it's like what they say what the Apollo program was. We didn't start from going to the moon to Apollo 11. They started from Mercury, Gemini, and Apollo, so it makes perfectly good sense. Yeah, and so I'm gonna update the thumbnail for this one because it's not about the rocket launchers or anything like that. Although they talked about New Glenn. I'm happy New Glenn's coming back. I did see the video just an hour ago. I I I appreciate what they're doing. They're doing an amazing job for it in the recovery, and I'm happy that they're they're going full online again. They're changing things around in a cool way. If you haven't checked the video, you should. It's great. It's just a CGI video. It's showing out the launch pad, but they're showing what's going to be happening and so forth. So it's really cool. And the moon base itself is going to have all these systems right here: transportation, autonomy, robotics, logistics, communications, habitation, power, and mobility. So you're going to have all those systems in tail. Of course, this is specialty for me because I'm with the space operations, but as well at the same time, I'm going for systems engineering, integration and testing, and so forth. So of course, space ops is a big thing for me. Of course, we're also with systems engineering, and yeah, yeah. So let me stop the sharing the video. This is going to be the moon base itself. As you can see, they're doing everything. It's all going to be it. It's just a short CGI video. Flip for it. Uh, let's stop the video and let me show you why is this important time, because guess what's also been announced. And I don't want to bring up a lot with the politics, but unfortunately, but the thing is that politics do play a big role in this. And here we have an announcement of the Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy announcing supersonic flight that's going to be coming to the United States. This is great because this is amazing for what's happening. And there's a lot of development going on with supersonic travel and hypersonic travel. There's a lot of companies that are building faster aircrafts to be able to go into commercial sector. They say the fastest aircraft, as I point out before the stream or before the live stream, was the Concorde. This was the one of the fastest commercial supersonic transport in the world. It's kind of blurry if you can see it. I'll try to bring up close, but you see, there's a model of it. This was this is very small, of course, but there's been a comeback in these type of technology, and it's considered an emerging technology to be able to transport people going from Mach 1 and above, and cargo too. There's many benefits to supersonic transport. Obviously, speed is a factor. Obviously, another one is time. You have more time to travel from one distance to another distance that it takes a while for, and that with subsonic airlines airplanes, they take a while for it to get to a destination, while supersonic travel will be able to go much more faster and be able to be at your destination more readily available, relatively faster. Another thing too is that with this is that this is actually very good because um, we're we're going to be going. This is more. This is a one of the major reasons why supersonic transport was kind of stopped. Really was really about politics, though. To be honest, though, and that was one of the major reasons. Now, there's other reasons, obviously, fuel cost and everything, but politics is like one of the major reasons why it stopped. Why it kind of stopped and restricted it. But now this current administration, they're pushing it towards uh, governor's powers, and this is not news at all. There's actually it started out actually with this policy here. Let me see if I can put it up here. Streaming. Okay. No, not this one. This one right here. All right, this one right here. The leading the world in supersonic flight. I'm not going to go over this because this is all politics, but again, like this is why we're going supersonic travel and so forth. This is one of the reasons why they're pushing it for, because this is actually at June of last year. So this is very good that's happened. Very good as we're pushing it towards more supersonic travel. And because the fastest machines really, I say, like for supersonic travel, are just mainly they have been for fighter jets. An example, let's say this one, the F-14 Tomcat. This has been like one of the fastest fight aircrafts in the world actually to fly. This is configured to be flying at supersonic travel since the wings are retracted or going to swept wing design, a mobile swept wing designs. Now this requires a lot of mechanisms and it takes a while for it, but this is one of the fastest vehicles travel. A legendary bird, and very popularized by the movie Top Gun. So this is a classic right here. F-14 Tomcat right here. This is the model of it. I hold dear to it because I love the Tomcat. I have actually seen the Tomcat in person, not as a flying vehicle in a museum. So they're not flying for the United States today. Unfortunately, there's supposed to be a new thing that they're doing, but I don't know yet. I might cover it in a future video or something like that, but we'll see. Like I said, I'm trying to segue this because this was a recent announcement today, and the fastest birds right now to travel. This is a like a Lockheed YF something plane, or that's based on it's based on the SR-71. It's similar to the SR-71 in design. It's a little tweaked a little bit, but this is not the final SR-71 design. SR-71 is the fastest human rated supersonic aircraft ever to be flown in history. It is still there. It has not broken a record yet. I mean, yeah, it has no, but that record has not been broken since the 1960s. So it's still there, and it's a lot more faster than the Concorde. And the Concorde is fast. It's a fast bird, but SR-71 was a lot more faster. But then again, it was different because Concorde was a supersonic transport, while SR-71 was a reconnaissance high speed, um, high speed supersonic travel that traveled at Mach 3. It used a different kind of engines for it and everything like that. I did do a video when I was out at the Air Force Armament Museum at Fort Walton Beach, Florida. I was there for an event, but I stumbled upon the museum and I there's the video right there, so you can see it right there. But anyways, I wanted to make this a little I don't want to make this a little longer than usual, but I do have, I think, one more showing here. Why we're doing this is because of this policy right here. Let's take that out. There we go. This is the Ensuring American Space Superiority. This was released in December 18, 2025. Now, this is why, one of the reasons why we are pushing full speed, why that the moon base is happening, why we're going back to the moon, and so forth. This is one of the main reasons why, because there is supposedly another space race going on with another adversary foe, and the United States needs to catch up. We are catching up. We are catching up, and we're doing what we can to catch up, and so forth. So I'm not gonna go over it, but this because I don't, this is not my thing, but this is something that's relative. These two policies, the supersonic and the space superiority, is something that I'm really excited for. That we're starting to see more investments into aerospace defense, faster, faster, high speed travel, and we definitely need this because this is something we have wanted to inspire, and to keep going forward in life, and to also be be hopefully I can be a part of these incredible missions and so forth. But yeah, um, but yeah, this was I didn't want to bring this up too much, but it's because not just for the NASA moon base update, but also the supersonic travel that's happening. So I am very happy. I'm very excited for it, and also congrats to Astrobotic, Intuitive Machines, and Firefly Aerospace. Y'all did amazing. Y'all did amazing jobs. I gotta say, looking forward to the development. Next update is gonna be in around the end of July. So they said they're gonna do this every month, which is great. And we'll see how things go. And I guess I can leave it with the moon base one because that's really cool. Like that's gonna be pretty awesome to see. And I am very happy to see this. With yeah, just and see one of the companies that is amazing, Firefly Aerospace. I personally have talked to them. They are amazing company. They're amazing people, and I would love to contribute and to do my best. I would love to. And of course, Jared Iserman, the main man, the my boy, he is doing amazing job, and I am very happy to see that. Uh, so yeah, I'll leave it at this because this is like the most coolest thing I've ever seen. That seeing it that this generation we're going back to the moon, we're going back to stay, and we're going to Mars and beyond. That is such an amazing inspiration for many of us that want to lead all to a better future, such as myself. I am doing everything I can to be able to contribute the um, to the space industry, to Artemis, and hopefully I'll be working with those programs. I I am crossing my fingers that everything will go well, and that I'll be able to be a part of Artemis of working for the moon. And people will say, "Oh, what do I work on?" I'm working on the I'm I'm working on the moon base. I'm part of a project that we're working on the moon base, and I would love to be a part of it. I would love to do this, and it's such an amazing feeling of like we're going back to the optimistic era of the 1960s that we were going to the moon. We're doing this in the Apollo program, and it's such an amazing feeling. But anyways, um, I'll try to do some clips here and there and so forth when the YouTube processes it and so forth. It takes a while, but I'll try to do some of that. But anyways, stay safe, everyone. Have a great rest of the day. Great rest of the week. There's gonna be another live stream watch party for the rocket launch of the ULA Amazon Leo 8. I'm hoping I'll be able to stream it because it's gonna be late at night. So and it's going to be a part of a challenge. I'm trying to do SpaceX launch live streams, but they are not easy to get for it. They don't put them up on YouTube, so it makes it harder. But for other companies like Blue Origin or ULA, they have YouTube channels and they're easier to put it on and anything like that. I'm glad that Blue Origin's recovering. You can watch that video. It's super great. Uh, and they're like NASA's just full speed ahead. I am very inspired, and I'm gonna do my best to be able to be a part of that program, part of the space program. And like I said, as you can see here, I would love to work on these things, and I would love to work on the moon base. I put up a video about it though. I think about like a few months ago when they announced the moon base, because it was just a few months ago when they were doing the moon base stuff, and they just announced it, and then Artemis 1 launched on April 1st, which again it was a blessing. It was amazing that it launched, and I got to see history happen in person. So that's something that's never going to go away for me, to see history launch. You know, of sending people back to the moon for the first time since the early 1970s. So this is an amazing time, I gotta say. But anyways, stay safe, y'all. Catch you in the next one, and I'll maybe do a Q&A video if anything. I'm planning to do one. I would love to do a Q&A. I'd like to do a little chat thing as well. So because I rebranded this channel, so and I do have another channel for like more like entertainment stuff. So I'm keeping that as separate, more like little fun side things and everything like that. That's just like that. So I'm keeping that. This is like my main channel. It's more serious stuff. So I want to keep it like that. So, anyways, stay safe, everyone, Mhm. and and have a great rest of the week. Have a great day as well, and have a great day or evening wherever you're from. And this goes to show you that. Let me go up right here. This goes to show you that we're only one humanity. We're only one species, humanity, and we are going back to the moon, Mars, and beyond. So, catch y'all later. And as one of my favorite TV shows says it, see you, Space Cowboy. There we go. Or another one, a movie. May the force be with y'all. There you go. May the force be with y'all.